Hello, everyone. This is PTIsles, the All Islanders panel discussion show presented by Isles Blog. I'm Joe Bono, joined by Connor Moore and Brittany Sider. Guys, when we spoke last week, the Isles looked lifeless after back-to-back games in Edmonton and Vancouver, both losses, and they had 3 more road games left on that 7-game road trip. Things, though, worked out okay, wouldn't you say, Brittany?
Yeah. I mean, the last time we talked, it was right after Edmonton and Vancouver, right? And you were seeing if we were okay. We hadn't really done a PTIsles after 2 losses like that, and we did okay. We did well, but you could tell we were a little down and we were worried. But 5-2, baby.
Everything's coming up, Islanders.
And we'll start with Tuesday night's game at Madison Square Garden, the Islanders beating the Rangers for the second time at the world's most famous arena. And for the second time, Rangers fans were leaving their very pricey seats early. 6-3 back in October, 3-0 on Tuesday night. Jaro Halak, the first Islanders goaltender to shut out the Rangers at MSG in 39 years. Harry Rose called it a game 30 years in the making during the pregame. Brady, you've not been alive that long. How enjoyable was it, not only watching the game, to be that up for a regular season game, win 3-0, but then the aftermath of dealing with only both Islander fans, but also disparaged Ranger fans?
Oh, it was so good. All of it was so good. There wasn't any point in the game that we were down. We didn't start blowing the 3-goal lead. There was no negativity on the side of the Islanders fans, just so much saltiness from the Rangers fans. And bring on the salty, like just bring it. I love it. It's so good. They don't even know what to do with themselves. I was getting people tweeting at me today, worry about your own team, like as if we're not both in the Metro Division and we didn't just play last night. So they just can't even handle the fact that we have walked into Madison Square Garden twice this season and beaten them twice, and Lundqvist sat on the bench last night. It was just, everything about it was amusing. I don't even know.
And Connor, a lot of Ranger fans were pointing to the fact that their team was returning home from a West Coast trip, a very successful West Coast trip for the Rangers, where they returned back the hottest team in the league. But I guess they failed to realize the Islanders had been on the road for quite a while as well.
They were just scraping the barrel for all the excuses they could find. First it was the posts, then it was Hank had a bad night, then it was we're coming off the road trip. Islanders played a complete game. The Rangers sat on their asses all night. I'll take the 2 points.
And myself texting with some of my friends, and the majority of them are Ranger fans. And, the same way, I don't watch full Ranger games. The Islanders are playing so often. You watch bits and pieces of Ranger games. When they got an opportunity to watch a full Islander game and saw how much the ice was tilted, how good the possession numbers were, how many shots they were getting towards the net, 40-plus shots, the most the Rangers gave up all year, the most Islanders have had all year. From the second period on, that was pretty much dominating hockey.
I mean, there was a good 10 minutes where the Rangers were really dominating the Islanders and really hemming us in their zone. And then, I don't know what Capuano said in that locker room during the first intermission, but the Islanders came out like a completely different team. They came out looking like the team we've seen against the Kings, against the Blackhawks. They just were revving on all cylinders. I said after their Franz goal, I didn't even know what to say after that. I was just so excited, so happy with how this team came out in that period that I was at a loss for words, and that does not happen very often with me.
Yeah, I mean, I also felt like last night was just the most complete. Boychuk's hit on Nash was just fantastic, just to lay him out like that, totally clean.
How many times did you watch
Did I watch the hit?
Yeah, over and over again. I know you were looking for the GIF.
I mean, it wasn't. Listen, it's not. I mean, if Nash had got, I'm not sitting here like I want Nash to get hurt, but that was fantastic to watch the Rangers like prize possession right now just go down like that. Was great, just an open ice hit like that, and also Boychuk also at the end of the game he broke up that Rangers opportunity to get that shorthanded goal at the end of the game down to Nielsen. So the whole thing was just so good, and all we can hope is that it's a preview for what's to come in the spring. I mean, right now there's like a 50-50 chance that New York is going to have a playoff series between these teams, and we haven't seen it since 1994. So bring it.
And I like to forget 1994. 6-0, 6-0, 5-2, 5-2 were the finals in that game. And listen, there's 3 more games left between these two teams, all 3 of them at the Nassau Coliseum, one in January, one in February, one in March. But I tell you what, even though there was such big buzz and build-up for the game on Tuesday night, the Nassau Coliseum crowd is going to be much, much louder from the get-go than the Madison Square Garden crowd was. That's not me being impartial. That's not me being an Islander homer. I expected maybe there was tension there. Maybe it was nerves in the crowd the first 10 minutes back and forth, waiting for a team to take the lead, whatever it was. I know team got shut out, so there really wasn't an opportunity for the building to get loud. But even at the start of the game, I expected there to be more electricity and more just pure noise in the building from Ranger fans, and I don't think it was there.
You couldn't hear anything on TV. I wasn't there, and yeah, we're all a little bit partial. Joe and Connor, we're all a little bit partial. We hear it a little bit lower than it probably is, but I had friends who were at the game and said you could hear a pin drop in this place. And even when it was 1-0, which to the Rangers is nothing, 1-0 doesn't mean anything. For the Islanders, 3-0 is the best situation you can get, and people left. Who leaves in the middle of a Rangers-Islanders game when the Islanders have blown 3-goal leads the entire season? It's disappointing for them, but exciting for me. I don't know.
DeLuca even said that. DeLuca was there last night, and he even said the loudest the building got was during the national anthem. He said that between the whistles that Rangers fans just didn't show up, and it played a big part in the game, I feel.
And Howie Rose was on WFAN with Evan Roberts and Joe Benigno, and he talked about, listen, he's been broadcasting games for the Islanders now for 20 years. And granted, this is the most success that they've had, the best team they've had, obviously, in the regular season up until that point. But whether it be because it's the final year of the Coliseum, whether it be because there's such an attachment to this team, so many homegrown guys, whatever the reason is, or people feeling, the resentment of them leaving for Brooklyn, whatever it is, the building is louder now than maybe it's ever been. Including even the dynasty years. I think every person, every Islander fan goes into those games, goes into those home games, really looking to be loud and being to give this team the extra boost and the real home ice advantage. And you look at how many games the Islanders have played. They've played, after this 7-game road trip, they played a lot more games on the road than home. So this great record, top of the Eastern Conference, even a more chance now to use that home ice advantage and try to hold on to that lead atop the conference and atop the Metropolitan Division. John Tavares, guys, was kept off the scoreboard last night. 2nd game in a row. He had not registered a point, but that necessarily isn't always a bad thing. Check out this stat from Eric Hornick. The Owls are now 12-4 when Tavares is pointless, including 11-1-0 in the last 12. Connor, we've talked about it at various points this season, but this team is deeper than it's been in over 20 years, and the players responsible for that depth keep on getting better. Anders Lee, Ryan Strome, Brock Nelson, the 4th line. You can go on and on with the type of improved play from last year to this by that group.
It's been nice this year, and I think the nice part about it is it's not just players that Garth had to go out and seek on the open market. It's not just Kuhlman and Grabowski and Clutterbuck contributing. It's homegrown talent. It's Ryan Strome, like you said, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson. Anders Lee is making a name for himself in the NHL just from parking himself in front of goalies all day. Has 11 goals, 3rd most on the team. Brock Nelson, another Bridgeport drafted by Garth Snow guy, 2nd on the team with 15 goals. It's coming from everywhere. If it's not the 2nd line one night, it's the 4th line the next. And it's been nice. From a team that's been criticized for being a one-line, first-line team for the past 3-4 years, it's nice to see this depth coming in.
Yeah, I last night I tweeted during the game. It was great to see Lee, Nielsen, and Strome working together. That line seems to be great. I personally love that line. I'm all about it. I love Nielsen on that line with Strome and Lee. I think he's a good pairing for them. I mean, even ever since that Winnipeg game when you saw that give and go between Nielsen and Strome, and you just said you had to watch the replay on that at least 3 times to say, how did Strome know where Nielsen was? How did that happen? How do we know? Like, Strome has proven that he's only played 80 games in the NHL, and this guy has vision. Like, I mean, he rivals Tavares, not when it comes to maybe talent so far, but when it comes to vision, sure. You really have to rewind and watch what just happened and say, how did he know where to pass that puck? How did he know where his line mate was? Like, he is unbelievable, and I don't even think it matters what line you put him in. And that's also a product of the fact that he's playing with guys, no matter who it is, whether it's Nielsen, Lee, whoever he's playing with seems to be right up to par with him, and he can just fluctuate between lines and do great things. So,
back when the Taylor Hall trade rumors were swirling there for a while, I was very vocal that if Ryan Strome is the centerpiece around that deal, I don't know if I could say no, given Hall's age and the length of his contract and how affordable he is and the type of, the fact that he's put up an 80-point season. But I've kind of been proven wrong over the last month with how well Ryan Strome is playing. And we had Stephen Valiquette, the ex-Islander Ranger goaltender, on the podcast this week, and he was so impressed with Ryan Strome. He said that he thinks at some point Strome can take the throne away from John Tavares. And you look at how much Tavares has achieved in his career already to this point, captain of the team, face of the team, and the short period of time Ryan Strome has been with the Islanders, heavy praise for Ryan Strome. As for Anders Lee, Arthur Staple put out a tweet before the game yesterday in terms of goal production from guys that have, I think, under 12 or under 15 minutes worth of ice time. And Anders Lee is among the top point and goal producers in the league given the amount of time he plays. From the very first moment he came up, Connor, he just scores goals. He finds ways to score goals. It's amazing this guy started the season in Bridgeport.
He started off on the right foot when he got into the NHL. I think it was his first NHL shot. He sniped one against Winnipeg. And ever since, Islander fans have just known him to be a goal scorer. They're not always going to be pretty. They're not always going to be Patrick Kane-type deep goals. But a goal's a goal, and when Anders Lee's putting them up on the board, it's hard to be mad at him.
And then Nikolai Kulemin also had, obviously, the second goal of the game. And they put up a stat, and I guess this one was in their back pocket for a while, that the Islanders were 12-0 when Kulemin registers a point. Now 13-0 when Kulemin registers a point. And, again, just another guy that shows the depth of these lines. And that fourth line, you guys might recall that early in the season, a big narrative was how much the fourth line was playing and how much Capuano put them out there. But they've certainly proved those people wrong as well. And now we're getting accolades for very well may being the best fourth line in the NHL. We're going to move on. We got a couple questions from Twitter today that we're going to pose now to both Connor and Brittany. First, at EvenPar72 asks, do you see Chad Johnson playing either of the back-to-back games this weekend? He had a big game the other day in Columbus, and he needs the reps. Connor, will he play one of the two games between the Penguins and Canadiens, or neither, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I see Halak playing both the Penguins and the Canadiens game. Throw Johnson to Philly, a team that's not doing quite as well this year. Give Halak the 10-day rest with the All-Star break coming up. It might not be the popular choice, but in my opinion, I think it's the right one.
Brittany?
I think that if it wasn't the Penguins on Friday, I'd agree with Connor. But I think that the Islanders are going to face a barrage of shots on Friday night. And if Halak has to face 45 shots for some reason, which we hope that doesn't happen because the Islanders D shouldn't let that happen. But you never know with Malkin and Crosby. Halak can see the puck all night. If that's the case, I really don't mind seeing Johnson in net on Saturday against the Canadiens. But then you also have to consider that on Tuesday we're playing the Rangers again. So the whole week is going to be a little bit of a tough week. But I would say if Johnson's going to start, I don't have that much of a problem with him starting against the Canadiens after a night with the Penguins.
And you may not know that answer, obviously, until after the game on Friday night. Islanders win, and they win the front end of a back-to-back. Jack Capuano may be inclined to give Chad Johnson the start on Saturday night, given the fact that he did play well in Columbus last Saturday. If they lose, and you don't want to risk losing back-to-back games to the Penguins and the Canadiens, obviously vying for the top spot in the conference, you may see Halak out there once again. In some ways, it's similar to the lead-up to the kind of winter or Christmas break where Halak was playing every single night, but you knew there was a long period of rest there for him coming up. Similar here with the All-Star game, unless he's chosen as a replacement, which we can talk about a little bit. I still think Johnson probably will start Saturday. That's kind of my gut. I know Arthur Staple felt the same way. I think Halak Friday, you go to Johnson on Saturday night, and then you have Halak right before the All-Star break play the Monday afternoon, the 1 o'clock game on Martin Luther King Day against the Philadelphia Flyers. That's what I think. But I think Chad Johnson needs to play. Now, we talk about how he needs to play and needs reps, but if you look overall, Halak still is on pace for somewhere 55, 60 games between that, and right now for a starting elite goaltender in the NHL, that's what most of them end up playing by season's end. Let's move on to our next question. This one's good. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, guys. It comes from @MostlyKnowles. If the Isles did not exist, what team would each of us root for? Who wants to take that one first?
I'll pass on to Brittany.
I can take it first because I kind of want to blurt this out and then kind of erase it from memory for a while. If we're being honest, I would probably be a Rangers fan.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Where's the bleep? Where's the beep button?
Listen, it's not by choice, and it's not. First of all, if the Islanders don't exist, I don't have as much of a reason to hate the Rangers. I just don't. Number two, I was 5 years old when the Rangers won the Cup, and they wouldn't have played the Islanders in that series if you're saying the Islanders didn't exist. So in this other world, that series never happened. I would have been 5 years old. My parents probably would have been amped up at the Stanley Cup, and probably would have been brought into that, and would have seen Gretzky in the late '90s in New York, and probably would have been right on that. So proximity plus what was going on when I was 5, 10 years old with the Rangers, I think I unfortunately would have.
Okay, I'm gonna change the question just a little bit here, though, Britt. Let's say the Islanders cease to exist, so they didn't relocate somewhere. They're just not in the NHL anymore. The team is gone, but you have all your points of reference up until this point. What's the answer then?
If you're asking me right now, based on what happened last year, I'd be an LA Kings fan, dude. It's the Western Conference. They gave the Rangers what I feel they deserved, and I'm all on board with the LA Kings. And
all right.
Ziggy Palffy. That's all.
Former King. How about you, Connor?
I was gonna go.
The second phrasing of my question.
Second phrasing, all right. I was gonna say two answers anyway. The Rangers being one of them, because you gotta be realistic about it. But if we're taking the second question, I would probably go with the Leafs.
Wow.
It's a tough team to watch right now. They haven't had the best years. They've been kind of like the Islanders the past couple of years. I've always found myself gravitating to watching their games when I'm up late at night, nothing else to watch. I really like the way they're built. I have some family up in Toronto, so when I visit them, we go to the ACC, despite how expensive it is. I think I'd be sporting the white and blue if the Islanders weren't around.
For me, it would be the Chicago Blackhawks, and obviously they've had a ton of success. I love Patrick Kane as a player. I just love watching him. You watch Team USA, and if I didn't know where those guys played in the NHL, I'm watching those games, my favorite player would be Patrick Kane. So for those reasons, I pick Chicago. Plus, as a native New Yorker, I feel like Chicago is the closest city to New York. There's Boston there, but the Boston-New York rivalry. So Chicago, to me, is the type of city, the type of fan base I think I'd want to be part of. Plus CM Punk, Connor is a Chicago Blackhawk fan, so wouldn't mind joining him in the stands for those games. But how about this? If the Islanders, relocate, let's say Brooklyn couldn't happen, and they relocated to Quebec or somewhere else, or Kansas City, do you think either of you could just continue being a fan of that is the franchise? The same way, let's say you were a Nordiques fan and then went to Colorado and you would just follow what the Avalanche did. Do you think you would be able to follow wherever the team now resided under new colors and new names, etc.?
Knowing myself, I would try to, but I feel like after a couple years, it'd kind of fade away and I'd gravitate towards a Devils, or certainly not the Rangers, Devils, maybe the Flyers, maybe even Toronto. So I think I'd give it the effort, but end all be all, I don't think I'd end up being continuing to be a fan of the organization down the road.
Right, can you keep up with them? I mean, you got DirecTV now. You buy a package. You get to watch, Center. What's it called, Connor? You have that.
Yeah,
Game Center.
Game Center. You can watch on your computer. Would you be following?
Yeah, I think I would try, like Connor said, but I also remember I went to college up in Poughkeepsie, and even those 4 years away when I didn't have the games on MSG, our school didn't allow us to have TVs in our dorm rooms for the first couple of years. It was difficult. It wasn't the same as being able to flip on your TV every night and see it on MSG and it just be an easy thing.
Wait, did they not allow you to have TVs because you were freshmen and sophomores, or just because no one was allowed to watch TV at all
No,
on
they had
campus?
TVs in the dorms. My school was a big fan of. They had the mentality of, you should be out doing things and exploring college.
Reading.
What
Just
school
like
is
our
this?
library closed at 10 o'clock at night when all of us wanted to be there 24 hours because there was so much work. But
What-
they wanted us to be out, so we all just crammed in our dorms instead. I don't know.
What school is this?
I went to Vassar.
Vassar. Oh, that
She's a
makes sense.
Vassar
That
girl.
I
makes
love
sense.
it, but it's weird.
That makes sense.
See, where I went to Fordham. You had in the main room, you had the cable that you can connect the TV to, but you're not supposed to be able to splice the cable cord, through the walls and then watch, have cable in the other rooms as well. You weren't able to split the cable. A lot of people did that. I was fortunate enough that my college roommate's father, I won't name him, but he had some experience in that field and was able to do a very neat job of making sure that we had a cable in our own bedroom as well, which allowed people to watch TV in the main room. We were able to retire to the bedroom, watch whatever we wanted. Not as strict as Vassar. Wow, no one's going to go to Vassar if they're listening or watching this.
Hey, we don't need you
Brittany.
guys.
So this came out this week. All-Star Weekend is coming up, January 23rd to 25th. It's in Columbus. The NHL hasn't had an All-Star game since 2012 when Team Chara defeated Team Alfredson 12-9. I completely forgot about that game. That's what happens when you don't have an All-Star game. You have a lockout. You have the Olympics. You don't remember All-Star games at all. So we've also been without some All-Star jerseys. And I don't know if you guys are people that go out and buy merchandise, All-Star merchandise, but these new jerseys were recently revealed. Take a look. And apparently they were going for the bold Monsters energy drink, using that as their inspiration. This is a quote. Fans get to see their favorite players in their typical uniforms every game during the season. That comes from Reebok uniform designer Dave Canetta. But we wanted to do something with this uniform that made the idea of a hero come alive. Would either of you, Brittany first, you're a fashionista on the blog, would you rock the bright green, yellow, and black All-Star Game jersey?
Guys, I thought ugly sweater season was in December. I don't know what we're doing here.
Seriously, what are they thinking? These guys, this is what they do. This is what they get paid for.
Monster?
Who is that?
They said this was what from sponsor. What'd you say with Monster?
No, I said that. If you look, if you put the jerseys there and you put the Monster energy drinks next to them.
No, tell me it doesn't look like lemon lime Gatorade. Like that's what it reminds me of. It literally reminds me of just like Gatorade and but it's not even like Gatorade. It's like a kid drank Gatorade then threw it back up. Like there's nothing good about it. If they were going to commit to being nostalgic, they should have done that. I have no idea what happened here. Their ugly holiday sweaters are 10 times better than what they just came out with. So
yeah, if you're reminding anyone of a sports drink or an energy drink, it's probably not a good look. I mean, Connor, I don't know why they feel. To me, every jersey hit is a retro or a throwback or something nostalgic. That's why the Winter Classic jerseys do so well every single year. Whenever teams or leagues want to do these futuristic type, it never seems to hit. Never.
No, it really doesn't. As far as the All-Star jerseys go, I would never rock one myself, but I mean, I don't think they're that terrible. I think they should.
Oh wow! See, you're just kind of hiding there, Britt.
I do think they messed up. If they were going to go neon, they should have went the full 9 yards and made it glow in the dark. Then I'd rock it.
No, I would have been cool with glow in the dark.
Are we going to shut the lights off in the arena and just play that way?
I would take it to the club and be the man. Just ordering bottles in my glow in the dark Tavares jersey.
You know what? That's actually, in certain cultures in this country, I could probably see that catching on real quick.
Flashlight guys, new T-shirt. I don't care what it says. I don't care what it looks like. Make it glow in the dark, and we're
Glow in the dark yes shirts. That's the next.
no glow in the dark. Nothing. Just a glow in the dark T-shirt. That's it. That's all you need.
While we're kind of telling secrets here, I did go through a black light phase.
Of course you did.
In my youth, my teenage years. I forgot the name of the store. The store in the mall. It was a popular chain. It had all that kind of stuff, and I had the black light and the stars on the ceiling. Brett, you probably had like the stars on your ceiling.
Oh yeah, the ones that you had to leave the light on for at least 12 hours
to get like 20 minutes worth of glow.
Kind of like they didn't glow; they just like were dull, but you got really excited about them anyway. Those guys.
Those guys. That is what I'm talking about. Last thing about All-Stars, because my favorite part of all All-Star weekends, hockey, basketball. Not so much baseball. I'm not really into the home run derby. I went there in person at Citi Field, and I thought it was going to be a better experience than it was. I always thought the hockey skills competition was the best of all the major sports. The accuracy shots, the speed skater, the hardest shot, the breakaways. To me, that was always the best part of All-Star Weekend.
I remember back, I forget what year it was, but when Adrian O'Coin was in the hardest shot competition, I think he put up like 103.3. I saw that and was hooked on the skills competition ever since. And they've been making it better and better with the fastest skater, the breakaway competition. I remember Ovechkin doing the Superman or putting the cape on a couple of years ago. It's good. I think I enjoy the skills competition more than I do the game itself.
Oh, absolutely. It's more competitive.
Yeah, the players really try and they give their all on that.
Well, because there's less of a chance that they're going to get hurt when they're just taking a shot versus playing a game. So you do it in the middle of the season, that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And Michael Grabner won the fastest skater. That's when they kind of brought people. You didn't have to be an all-star to compete in the skills competition. I remember Mike Gartner for the Rangers. I mean, he was older too, and he was the fastest skater. Bro, I'm always dating myself. I feel like once an episode I do some reference that's like early 90s you had to be there for. I also remember being really upset at maybe the 94, 95 All-Star game. And I think Pierre Turgeon had like 4 assists when he was on the Islanders. And I thought he was going to get the MVP, but I think Ray Bourque scored the game winner, and it was in Boston. So you know how that goes. Because when your team is bad, like if you're an Islander fan, a young Islander fan, and your team is bad year after year after year, the All-Star game and having your guy there performing well is one of your highlights of the year. Yeah. It's like that guy is there for us, representing us, and if he puts on a good show, that validates me as a fan just a little bit. So we're going to wrap up here with some news here. Just some kind of things to look forward to, things we're working on with Isle Blog. I'm hoping everyone's really started to enjoy the content we're putting out there, obviously with PTIsles on a weekly basis, the Isles Blog podcast, the ongoing stories that we write, great content from Anthony and Connor and Tom DeLuca on that, some of the great stories we've been able to kind of break regarding Barclays Center and some other types of things. And Brittany, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on? Your column made its debut a week and a half ago. Tell us a little bit more about considerations.
Yeah, so my new addition to my column is going to be published tomorrow. I really don't want to come off as a bitch, but I will, and I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm pretty much going to let people know exactly what they should and should not be doing on Isles Twitter in 2015. So I think a lot of people with good senses of humor will find it funny, and those who don't have good senses of humor can just get off Twitter because I have no idea what they're doing on social media anyway. So be on the lookout. If you think that everything that I ask you to do, you don't agree with, like, that's fine, but check out my Twitter ratio and then tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever.
Wow. Aggressive right there.
That was very aggressive. That was like, if you can't smile, don't click on this link. Do not do that stuff. I don't need you. I don't want funny people.
If you're not rocking a 1 to 10
smile.
If you're not rocking a 1 to 10 ratio on Twitter followers, just get out of my face.
Meanwhile, Connor, I know that we're looking to onboard someone relatively soon, and that people could be expecting some more frequent prospect reports on Isles Blog.
Yeah, we just picked up our first prospect guy. He's going to have a weekly column giving you all the information you need on Dow Cole, Hosang, Sorokin, anyone you want to know. You can follow him on. His name's Pat Smith. You can follow him on Twitter at Pat Smith. Smith with 2 H's. Isles Blog's on the up and up right now. Always expanding.
And we also made the announcement earlier today that on January 20th from 9 to 11 p.m. you'll be able to listen to all Islanders talk on 90.3 FM. That's WHPC. Our Anthony Tardamella, Connor Moore, as well as Kenny Conrad from Eyes on Isles and Lenny Volpe. They'll be hosting a special edition of Homestretch, completely centered around Islanders discussion. Right now, I know the guys are working actively to book some really good guests for that night, and it'll be an opportunity for fans to call in and discuss everything about the Islanders with Connor, Anthony, Kenny, and Lenny. Connor, you got to be pretty psyched for that. Have you ever been on terrestrial radio before? Or have you ever been in the studio? Will this be the first time for you?
I've taken classes and done stuff like that, but never been on live radio before. I'm extremely excited. I'm equally nervous. I'm going to be stumbling over my words the first 15 minutes, but I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to hopefully get a lot of good calls. I'll tweet out all the information. I know it's on the website right now. I encourage as many people to call and ask all the questions you want, be it about
I'll call in.
Call in. Everyone call in. Be it about
I'm going to say something obnoxious, but I'll call in.
Only call in if you have a sense of humor.
I'm sure there's going to be a couple trolls calling us. I'm prepared for that. Any questions about the Islanders, about their organization, about Isles Blog themselves? If you want to get to know me, I'm always out there putting myself out there. It's going to be a good night, and I encourage everyone to participate.
And then on my side of the content, Isles Blog Podcast, we've been really fortunate to have some great guests, former Islanders, Darius Kasparaitis, Rich Pilon, obviously Chris King, beat reporters from Brett Segarlis and Steven Lorenzo and B.D. Galoff. And we look forward to having even more of that come in the here in 2015, working on some pretty cool ones right now. I don't want to give away anything because it's not finalized, but we should have some more former players and maybe even someone who's been on the big screen at some point this year as well. I'm hoping that works out too. So looking forward to keep on bringing out the Isles Blog podcast either on every Monday morning or Tuesday morning, depending on the Islanders schedule for you. Stephen Valaket from this week was great too. So look forward to doing that. And of course, guys, look forward to doing this each and every week with you guys here on PTIsles. This was fun again. This was fun as always, and we'll catch you again next week, huh?
See ya.
Good night.